So you've heard that protein builds muscle, right? But what if I told you that eating tons of protein without touching a single weight might still build you some muscle? Sounds too good to be true. Well, buckle up, because the answer is stranger than you'd think. Welcome back to the channel, where we break down fitness with an engineering mindset. Today, we're tackling a question almost everyone's thought at some point. Can you grow muscle just by eating protein even if you don't train? Most people think muscle is like Lego. You eat protein, you build more bricks. So the more you eat, the more muscle you get. Simple, right? Well, not quite. Yes, protein is the raw material for muscle, but here's the thing. Just having bricks doesn't mean you're building anything. You need a reason to build, and that reason is usually resistance training, lifting weights, bodyweight exercises, anything that makes your muscles work harder than usual. But now comes the twist. Can protein alone do anything? Let's imagine you do zero exercise, no gym, no push-ups, just couch and Netflix. If you suddenly double your protein intake, will your body turn into a muscle machine? Short answer, no. But here's where it gets interesting. Your body is smarter than you think. If you're sick or recovering from injury, or if you were previously very underfed, a high protein diet can actually help regain some muscle without you even lifting. And in some extreme studies where people were on bed rest, eating enough protein helped them lose less muscle compared to those eating normal amounts. So in a way, protein alone can help prevent loss or restore muscle in some cases. But build new muscle from scratch without effort? That's like expecting a construction site to finish itself, just because you delivered some bricks. But what about beginners? Now here's where it gets juicy. There's one group that might actually see some muscle gains without protein alone. Total beginners. People who've never trained, who suddenly start eating way more protein, especially if they were eating poorly before, might see a small increase in muscle mass. But it's not magic. It's more like catching up on what your body was missing all along. And that gain is usually small, short-lived, and nowhere near what that would get when you actually trained. So, is protein a muscle building cheat code? Only if your baseline is rock bottom, but that's not the full story. So what happens when you combine protein with just a tiny bit of effort, and why even the smallest signal can make a huge difference? You don't need to train like a bodybuilder to trigger growth. In fact, the tiniest bit of effort can flip the switch. Let's talk about that. The signal that builds muscle. Here's the real secret. Muscle doesn't grow because you eat protein. It grows because your body gets a signal. Hey, we need more strength right here. That signal comes from lifting weights, carrying groceries, even doing a bunch of squats during commercials. Once your body senses a challenge, protein becomes the building block. It's like giving your construction team both a blueprint and the materials. Without the signal, there's no blueprint, just a pile of bricks. Now, how little is enough? Here's what's crazy. You don't need an intense gym routine to send that signal. Studies show that even light training, like using resistance bands or doing slow push-ups, can be enough to start the muscle building process. And when you pair that with enough protein, boom, you're in business. Even 10 to 15 minutes of intentional movement per day can multiply the effect of protein, because now your body has a reason to use it. Think of it like watering a seed. Protein is the water, but movement is the sunlight. Without both, nothing grows. Why timing and context matter. Here's another twist. If you eat protein right after training, even a small session, your body becomes more efficient at absorbing it. This window is sometimes called the anabolic window, but don't overthink it. Just try to eat within an hour or two of moving. Also, your age, sleep, and stress levels all affects how well your body uses protein. So if you're older or you're under a lot of stress, you might need a little more protein and more effort to get the same results. But don't worry, it's not about perfection, it's about consistency. Even a few smart choices a day can change your entire physique over time. So is it possible to build muscle with just protein and zero training? Maybe a tiny bit under special conditions, but if you want real results without spending hours at the gym, all you need is a bit of movement and consistent protein intake. It's not magic, it's not supplements, it's just smart, simple effort over time. If you like this breakdown, hit the like button and subscribe for more fitness insights without the fluff. And tell me in the comments, what's your go-to source of protein after a workout? So see you in the next one. This was Dennis. Bye.